So the last 3 days, I filled myself taking cold plunges during the Houston freeze. Today, I decided not to do that, and that's actually unexpected. Yesterday, during MMA practice, I got hit pretty hard. That was my own bad, and got slightly concussed, and so decided, you know what, I need a total rest day. I'm not going to do the cold plunge video. I did cold water in my shower this morning briefly, but not the whole 5-minute plunge like I've been doing. And really thought that, I see so much power in being able to take a rest day and getting comfortable. I find that if I look back at the times I've like grinded or I'm in my best shape of my life, it's like, it always seems so like when I'm just going, I'm going the whole time. And when I'm resting, I'm in a slump and not that active. And so I want to strengthen the muscle of being able to switch between just total rest days, don't feel bad about it, and then right back to go hard days. And so thought this would be a good opportunity to take an unexpected rest day and get some stuff done that I wouldn't otherwise have time for. I mean, normally I'd have jujitsu, so it's Thursday today. We're taking a few days off, and I don't want to move my head at all. So I've gotten a concussion recently on this e-bike, actually on someone else's e-bike. And that was my lesson to always wear a helmet, even when you're just staying on the street and just trying someone's e-bike out. But ever since then, I'm super sensitive with head injuries. And so, you know what, even if it was not a concussion, it was strong. It was hard enough to where when I first got hit, I was dizzy, almost fell over and caught myself, and my head was ringing a little bit, like 5% when I got home. So you know what? It's not worth the long-term potential damage. Let's just take that day. So yeah, so normally I'd be getting ready to go to jujitsu. I think we're gonna flick up my space and just get some things that I want done in my place. My favorite part about rest days is not even the recovery you get from your muscles, but it's really doing something different than your normal every day-to-day life. I think about how important having a diverse life experience has been for me. I mean, I'm someone who, never really took up like a traditional sports or a traditional art, and I've always been kind of in this gray area of like, I know I want to do something meaningful. I know I have it in me, but I just don't know what that is. Like everything traditional wasn't really like a full body yes for me. And so I ended up going, so far I've gone through a very I ended up doing traditional things like college, grad school. I'm in a corporate job right now. And, I think about how important the off days were from when I was in grind mode to get into this point. So like, for example, when I was in college, at the time I phrased it like work hard, play hard. But that play hard was me doing a ton of different things, trying a ton of different stuff, getting into research labs. There was the socializing, but also like gaming and making videos. And I feel like just having my toe dipped in the water in so many different lakes really made me energetic for everything that I showed up to. Whereas I feel like if my whole life was like just research, for example, or just my job, I would feel like I'd be showing up to work just a little bit like this is what life is, and not really feeling refreshed and things kind of getting stale. But because I have these intentional rest days and have always made them just as equal as the on time, like literally just as equal as my training time. And I really mean that. I am able to not only discover new things and stay excited in different topics, but I feel like I'm able to exert myself, like exert my energy for longer periods of the day, because as soon as I start to get tired, like at work, well, then I go exercise. As soon as I get tired with exercise, then I go create videos. As soon as I get tired of creating videos, I can go play video games. As soon as I'm done playing video games, I can go create, cook new food. And it's like, it really like jumpstarts your energy. So, and your excitement for things. And I'm always finding new things. And all of those things end up translating into one another. And they always build good skills. So that being said, today's an unexpected rest day, but I think about the analogy of if you were going down the life path that you thought was going to happen, you would open up the door and go through it. But when there's a wrench thrown into your plan and life doesn't go as expected, which literally is how life is and always will be, there's going to be new doors available to you. And being able to not be so stuck on that old door that's no longer available to you, but look at all these new doors and all these new options is I guess my favorite part and is what is so exciting. And even when I think about what kind of videos I'm going to create, it's like every time I try to niche myself into one door, the most exciting part to me is almost all these other doors that I'm now not attending to. And so that's really what this day is all about, is making the normal, being able to open up all these doors and making that the one consistent thing and stop trying to stay down one door. I've had a few people recently ask me why I'm so happy. And it's funny because I don't even realize that other people can tell that I'm happy, or maybe like I'm just smiling. And I think there's two reasons, and I never know what to say to people, because if you try to be happy, then you're trying to be something, and then you're instantly like not present, and then you become not happy. That's the biggest thing about as soon as someone, this is actually a lesson that my great grandma taught me, Nani, shout out OG Nani. One day at work, people, a whole room applauded me because they said I was the happiest person. And I was so hyped about that. I called Nani and I told her, I was like, Nani, they say I'm the happiest person. I got an applause. And she was unimpressed. She was like, Booby, don't let that get to your head. And it's so true, because after the days following, I remember I started to, every time that I'd go approach those people or be in the room with those people, I thought about having to be happy because that's who they thought I was, which was then making me not in the moment and not present because I'm in my head, which is then making me not happy. And so that's the thing. If you want happiness, you cannot chase it directly. And so, all going back to my rest day, the one thing is that I'm able to show up with so much energy and excitement because I'm always changing up what I'm doing. But I think my second big pro tip is I really focus on wanting to be able to add energy into the room, wherever I go, whoever I talk to, because what I've learned from someone who lost both his parents in a car crash unexpectedly, what he told me was that he realized after that when he was entering rooms, he was sucking energy out of the room. And that's when he realized that you either add energy into the room or take it away. And people who are making moves in life, I don't know a better word for that, like working with people who would add energy into the room. And so if you're in a place where you're not grateful to be alive and curious and playful and you're unable to add energy into the room, you need to check yourself. Are you hungry? Do you need to talk to someone about what's going on? And so that being said, I always make sure that I can add energy into whatever room I go into, or just make sure I'm in a place to get on my bases first so I can do that. In a big way that I do that is these rest days. Specifically, if you were to think about a rest day or not doing anything as the off switch, and then you think about working out or grinding at your craft or whatever is your on switch, the harder you can turn your off switch off, the harder you can turn your on switch on. And so, when I get the right amount of sleep and I really disconnect and recharge, I'm able to apply myself so much more and perform so much better. And so, I just make sure I'm intentional that when I am around people, I have that switch on. And if not, just be real with people, because the reality is that most people you're around aren't on their A game and have been dealing with so much life that their on switch isn't all the way on, or they're not practicing being able to switch between on and off. And so if you're not feeling up to it and your on switch isn't totally on, you're almost more relatable and you have more of an advantage because most other people really feel that way. And every time I feel that way, I can still get more energy from other people just by connecting on life is hard. This is seriously, we're really in these circumstances in life. Life is really like this. So You're either authentic with how you're struggling, or you're taking your blessings and being able to give them back to people that don't have them, or play in a fun, creative space. And yeah, I guess that's why rest days are so important to me. So one thing I committed to reflecting on during this new free time is what to do with the space MMA, specifically striking and sparring, has in my life. I mean, the whole reason I have this rest day is because I got hit in the head pretty hard, and that is so not okay with me. I mean, I recently got a concussion after an e-bike accident, and I'm just so sensitive. I mean, I really was nervous that I was going to have long-term damage. I mean, you just don't know with head injuries. And so, I initially wanted to learn how to do MMA so that I can defend myself. But, the reality is every once in a while, you do get hit in the head. And so, steer that I've gotten is that, if you're not competing, you really shouldn't be sparring. I mean, it's just not, is it worth like learning skill and learning, standing up combat if you're getting hit in the head, taking head, because honestly, even the lightest head injury is a head injury and should be taken so seriously. And so I'm kind of torn because I was really loving learning how to fight, standing up with strikes and kicks, but I don't know if the head injuries are worth it. So it's hard because that was something that was like it filled a gap in my life that, and if I remove it, it's going to be another gap. And it's also kind of like, are you kind of sissying out, or, even when you say that word, it's like, okay, that sounds kind of like toxic masculinity or expectations from other people. So here's the dilemma. When it's time to spar in MMA, Professor will tell us, do not hit hard, because when you hit hard, you don't put yourself in vulnerable positions and you don't try new skills. So he'll tell us how not to hit hard, but just from the nature of what fighting is and the mode it puts people into, some people just see red and they're fighting demons, and no matter what, they'll just start swinging like crazy. And that does lead to me getting hit pretty hard every once in a while. And yesterday in particular, I got hit and, my vision was dizzy. I almost fell over, but I've learned how to kind of work past that dizziness feeling from doing so many front rolls. And but that being said, I got home and I'm like, ooh, like I'm really risking my long-term health and being able to be in my great-grandchildren's lives, for example, even for an extra year, all because I'm out here fighting someone who's fighting demons, sparring someone. And so this is hard for me because I love learning the arts of this, but may not be worth the head blows. So I don't know. I'm taking a week off, and I'm going to have to talk to my professor about, can I safely learn fighting without getting hit in the head? I think the answer is no. That's the risk you take. And, I have a feeling he's going to be on the side of the fence of, but it's worth it because you're learning how to be a better fighter. But in reality, I mean, in life, you should really always have pepper spray and a firearm on you, just from an active self-protection standpoint. I will say this beanbag, if you just Google like biggest beanbag, I think this is a 6-foot beanbag, is probably one of the best investments I've ever made. Put an RT pillow on it. I mean, that's a masterpiece. And one of the best parts of this place is doing that. So I encourage you to get a beanbag for your rest days. So I had an unexpected stop in the video. An old friend called me who I haven't talked to in a while, and we ended up talking for 2 hours. And it was like, when he was calling, I was in the middle of filming, but it was like, you know what? Talking to him is way more important than filming a video. And I'm so happy we did, because at the end of the call, he said that he left the call feeling more energized. He literally said that, and that goes exactly what I was saying about giving energy into the room. Even through a phone call, people can feel that. And he told me that he left the phone call feeling super energized. I wish I had the soundbite to prove that he really did say that, but it goes exactly to, why it's so important to have these rest days. Not only so that now I had the extra time to talk to him, I would have otherwise been at jiu-jitsu, but also to be able to give energy in every interaction you have, whether that's over the phone or in person. So I want to share a conversation that me and him had that really stuck out. You know, he was talking about how he's been having trouble trying new things, and he feels like I'm just more creative because I do all these different things. And I literally, the whole point of this video is, or you know, my whole point has been how the rest day, the best part of it is trying these new things that you wouldn't otherwise do. And he said he's been struggling with that because he'll leave a situation and be like, "Oh, I didn't like that. That doesn't interest me. I know what I like." But what I explained to him is, you know, you may, let's say you and I, and this is one of my boys, okay? I'm like, "Hey, what if you and I were to go into a knitting class?" And at first he laughed like, "Oh, knitting." And I'm like, and at the surface level, you might judge the fact that we're doing just a knitting class. But the way I look at it is I'm actually going to be interested in the knitting class because knitting can teach me skills for how to tailor clothes, and tailoring clothes can teach me how to create my own clothes, and creating my own clothes is the first step to creating my own fashion brand, and having my own fashion brand is part of a legacy that I would love to leave in this world. So if you think about just going to a knitting class, I'm connecting the dots to seeing that as improving my toolkit to make me someone who could potentially make my own clothes one day or just make me more versatile. And that resonated with him. He was like, "I've never thought of it that way." And I think that's important for me to show the power of trying new things on your rest day. Try new things on your rest day. You may not see the benefit, but you know, not taking yourself so seriously and doing these things, all these different things that I never thought would connect the dots, has been one of the most fulfilling things that I've done. You know, I look at some of my first YouTube videos, it's like biking podcasts, something super random, but I had so much fun being the first one to do that. And if I wasn't versatile and, you know, figuring out and just in doing all these different things, I would have never connected the dots to actually create something new and create my own lane, which is how you actually, which is what your goal in life should be. Your life shouldn't, you know, your goal shouldn't be to be the best in something, but it should be to be the first in something. You know, create your own lane. That to me is really the definition of creativity. You know, if you're going to that knitting class and you're going in with that comparison mindset of, you know, what will other people think, you'll never create something unique or special. You know, I think about literally anything that's ever been creative and new, it had to be the first. And for someone to be the first, to create something that's never been done before, they had to do something that, you know, the world has never done, wouldn't understand, but had to just be confident enough that I find it interesting, so I'm going to put it out. And that has been what has been leading my videos. You know, I'm really not here for the views. If I wanted to do views, I'd still be on TikTok. I had to re-download TikTok today to support my little sister who created her personal training account today. You should go follow Ari.lifts7 on TikTok. She's doing personal training content. But when I looked at my TikTok, she was like, "Wow, bro, you've really blown up on here." Because last year, that was the first year I was able to go viral on TikTok. I found out how to do it, but I just wasn't enjoying making the videos. I was like, if I'm still doing these videos in 5 years from now, I failed at life. And if that's the case, why am I even making these videos? If, you know, yes, they're viral, I'm giving the people what they want, but it's not giving me, what's interesting to me is doing something creative and new, and feeding an algorithm is not interesting. It's not creative or new. It's just giving people what they want, but it's not, doesn't have that like oomph of interestingness and creativeness and something different. And that's why I'm here on YouTube and have dropped the TikTok. So that looks like I've folded about all my clothes. All socks and underwear I just throw in a big socks and underwear bin. So that is going to be the end of my rest day. Perfect end of a rest day for me is I have right here, I have a notebook where I can write notes, and I have a Kindle, and I know people hate on Kindles, but the reason this Kindle is so dope is because if you don't know a word when you're reading it, you can just click on the word and it will define it for you. And also, I can like use my fingers to highlight chapters and put a note, and it'll instantly go to my notes on my computer. So also, there's no blue light from it, so when I read at night, I can just, and it's portable, feels good. This was like 90 bucks on Amazon, Amazon Basics right here. Hey, Amazon Basics, next top brand. Imagine getting a collab with Amazon Basics to go crazy. But every once in a while, it does also feel good to write down on pen and paper. I wrote that I want a Porsche by 2026 and that every step counts because I'm going to need to be intentional with every step if I want that by there because I'm nowhere near there right now. That being said, don't take yourself so seriously. Try new things. I think it will boost your toolkit in ways that don't appear in the surface, that don't appear. We're going to try that again to kind of nail that ending. Try new things. They may boost your toolkit in ways that are not obvious at the surface. And take more rest days.